to welcome all our members. I'm going to look at all the screens so I can remember everybody's name. David, great to have you here. Bonnie, wonderful to have you here. Tony, very good to have you here. Carol, very nice to have you here. Greg, as always, perfect to have you. And Lisa, thank you. Should I simply look at the CTN report because that's the only thing that I got?
So let's run through the agenda first and I'll do roll call.
Okay.
So Tony Ramirez.
Here.
Carol Dunitz. Can you unmute Carol?
Here.
There we go. Thank you. David Pittman.
Here.
Thomas Wright.
Here.
Bonnie Gabowitz.
Here.
Great. We're all here. And then Tom will want to have approval of the agenda. So I'll need someone just a first and second approval of the agenda.
I move we approve the agenda.
I'll second the approval of the agenda.
Great. And approval of February 2020 minute. It's been that long.
Wow.
Yes. If I could have someone first and second again.
I first that.
Second, the motion to approve the minutes for February 2020.
Thank you. So now before we go into the CTN report, our public comment is done a little different virtually. So I just need to ask that if there's anyone who would like to give public comment, that they need to dial directly 1-206-337-9723 and enter the webinar ID 975-7207-4171. And in order for them to indicate they'd like to talk, they need to press a pound or the *9 on their phone. So we'll wait a few minutes just to see if there's anyone who wanted to speak during our public comments. Okay, I'm not seeing anyone who's joining. So if someone does pop up later, I guess we can go back to that. So now we can move into the CTN report, Tom.
Okay. Activity highlights. Carried LWV candidate forums. New Adventures in Crafting program. Produced A²0, I Have a Vision. Completed transitioning public channel to new playback system. Assisted on Allen Creek Burn Project virtual opening. Annual Santa satellite call-in Zoom program. Added CTN channels to Roku and Apple TV streaming services. Installed new transmission equipment, for channels Comcast. Then programming. Government Comcast channel 16, AT&T channel 99. CTN produced 47 city meetings, including City Council 10, Planning Commission 6, Park Advisory Commission 4, Commission on Disability Issues 3, Environmental Commission 3, Historic District Commission 3, Transportation Commission 3, Design Review Board 2, Energy Commission 2, Greenbelt Advisory Commission 2, Human Rights Commission 2, Independent Community Police Oversight Commission 2, Zoning Board of Appeals 2, Building Board of Appeals 1, Public Art Commission 1, Public Market Commission 1. CTN also cablecast 4 additional meetings of the Downtown Development Authority, 3, and the Ann Arbor Transportation Authority 1. CTN also produced 36 programs, including LWV Candidates Forums 12, FYI 7, Adventures in Crafting 3, Green Room 3, Senior Moments 3, Ward Talk 3, Ann Arbor Inclusive 2, Adventures in Parenthood 1, Candidates Comments 1, Happy Tales 1, Public Access Comcast Channel 17, 175 programs premiered on the Public Access Channel. 140 programs were submitted for playback, and community producers completed 2 programs. Due to the COVID-19 closure, there were no workshops, tours, or public production facility hours. However, there were 8 portable equipment loans. Bear with me, I have to turn the page. There we are. Educational Comcast Channel 18. 116 programs premiered on the educational channel, including AADL Presents 14, AAPS Reimagine Learning Update 11, Neurology Live 6, Color in Your Life 5, Tepper Tots 4, AAPS Superintendent's Report 3, AAPS First Briefings 2, AAPS, and I believe that would be Ann Arbor Public Schools, Annual Financial Audit, AAPS 2019 Bond Update, AAPS Ensuring COVID-Informed School Buildings. CPN produced 8 AAPS Board of Education Zoom meetings. Video on demand. CTN's YouTube channel had 29,490 hits, and the top 2 programs viewed each month were October, Huron and Skyline Field Hockey, 9/7/18, 11/11, City Council Meeting, 10/19/20, 458. November, Allen Creek Berm Project virtual opening, 2,248. Breaking Down Boxes PSA, 328. December City Council Meeting, 12/21/20, 811. City Council Meeting, 12/7/20, 520. And that, I believe, is the end of the CTN report.
Did you have anything you wanted to add, Greg, that of special note?
Yeah, thank you, Tom. No, that's the most recent report. I think you have all gotten the reports over the past year. So if there were any questions about anything, feel free to let me know or shoot me an email. Things have progressed pretty much not entirely normal given the way things have gone this past year, but we're continuing to do the best we can under the current situation.
And just
Can
to
I
remind everyone, as it stands right now, CTN is under the umbrella of the city. All city buildings are closed through February. It's kind of a moving target. We follow the orders from the governor as far as the closure. So we, although we've been actively working on what modifications might be needed for a tiered approach to reopening, at this time, we don't have any set dates. All we know is that if and when CTN is able to reopen, it won't be a full opening back to normal. It will depend on executive orders and guidelines and what type of services that we'll be able to offer while still maintaining the social distancing and masking requirements, which are not going away even for those who have been vaccinated. So I just wanted to let everyone know that too and open that up if anyone has any questions about that. In particular, if we had to guess, we would probably be looking at late summer before we would be back up and running, at a small capacity. Yes, Bonnie.
I'd like to make a comment. I was comparing the numbers from the last year report from last February. And I think it's very impressive that we've actually had an increase. The public access Comcast channel 17, we had 175 programs premiered and compared to last year's number of 129. And we had 140 programs that were submitted for playback. And there were 68 a year ago. And if you look at some other numbers, video on demand, the YouTube channel had 29,490 compared to 25,246 last year. So I think it's very impressive that with the restrictions we had and the lack of use of the studio, we were still able to not only have the programming done, but also have the viewership. So I think that's worth noting.
Thanks, Bonnie. I appreciate that.
Can I add to that? Because I want to give great kudos to the CTN staff. I started in October, doing a Zoom radio and TV show out of New York City called Racing for Heroes. And Melissa Bondi and Dana Denhaw, virtually, of course, and safely, directed me how to run everything and do everything from my home here in Ann Arbor. And the quality's been great. They've helped me premiere the show, keep it going. Craig Couros has been fabulous. And they've done it all virtually. I've never produced as much as I am now when I was still back in the studio. So I think we owe a great debt to our staff who have gone above and beyond the call of duty to really keep things moving and progressing.
And I was remiss in acknowledging, I think it's been 11 months now since we've been working in this new normal. And I was remiss in recognizing all the CTN staff who literally within a week had to pivot and figure out, just like everyone else, but these Zoom meetings, virtual meetings, the rules surrounding it, dozens and dozens of meetings that Greg attended, with our city clerk and our city attorney, and trying to figure this out and how to still deliver these public meetings, and all of our producers. who have gone above and beyond to get the work done. And that isn't seen, but we know that all of our staff have been tremendously dedicated and still deserving and still delivering public meetings and our channel and our production and trying to help our clients in whatever way they can, but with the number one priority of still being safe.
And one other thing that I can't be remiss at not noting is Melissa Bondi in the last year got me involved with the Alliance for Community Media nationwide. And as a result, I've been reading and learning best practices from stations all over the United States. Mike Wasner's been involved, the president and CEO. He's helped me do all kinds of things that I never knew we could do. We had a video from the Detroit Pistons and the Detroit Youth Choir that he helped us place all over the United States. Right when the pandemic started, telling everyone to be safe, socially distant, etc. And it was with former Pistons greats from the Bad Boys and current Pistons. And Mike helped us get that out, and had Melissa and the staff not had me become a member of the Alliance for Community Media, I wouldn't know how to do any of those things. So again, kudos to Greg and the staff for connecting us to a wealth of knowledge so that we can make CTN even better.
Couldn't agree more. Is that it on the CTN report?
That's
Do we
it for
wanna-
me.
Okay, do you want to move into election of the chair and vice chair?
Sure.
Would anyone like to put forward a nomination for chair?
I nominate Tom, Chair.
Do I have a second?
Second that.
And so in this format, if I can just get everyone who is a voting member to unmute themselves, I think everyone is. And if verbally, if you all can just affirm that you're in favor. Is everyone in favor of the election of Tom Wright as chair of the Cable Commission?
In favor.
Yes.
Yes.
Great, thank you. And now would anyone like to move nomination for the vice chair?
Can I move for Bonnie?
That's good
Yes.
for me.
Would anyone like to second that motion?
I second it.
Thank you, Tony.
Thank you.
Can I get everyone who is to verbally say if they are in favor of nominating Bonnie as the vice chair of the
In
Cable
favor.
Commission?
In
Aye.
favor?
Yes. I'm in
Aye.
favor.
Great. Okay, great. Thank you. So the 2021 meeting schedule, we typically have met quarterly in February, May, August, and November. So that would be, the next dates would be May 5th, August 4th, and November 3rd. And we've typically met at 4 p.m. Do we have everyone who is still in favor of that meeting schedule, or did anyone want to move? It does complicate it if we wanted to move the meeting time due to CTN, so there might be, we might have to look into some things, or is everyone favorable to continuing on that meeting schedule?
I'm favorable.
In favor.
I'm in
Okay.
favor.
If we go to Zoom, I may be up north. I'm sure I could Zoom from up north. So
Okay,
in May.
in May, okay. Yeah, I do I do believe, Tony, too, and we're trying to get some clarification on that too, as an advisory board, if we might have a broader opportunity to meet virtually. And that's something that we're trying to get clarification on. We've found a lot more participation. And it definitely does ease with the commuting times or folks coming, from different areas of the city or their jobs. So I appreciate knowing that. So could I get someone just to move that meeting schedule and second it?
I would like to move to approve the meeting schedule.
I second it.
Thank you, Bonnie. Okay. That rounds out our regular business.
Can I
And-
add something?
Sure.
I think, and we had talked about this when we had our past chair, about upon occasion, setting up a subcommittee to come up with new ideas and maybe just meet in between, and we can always do it via Zoom.
Mhm.
And I think it's always good to have the subcommittee. When we did the subcommittees before, Lisa and Greg, I thought it was most helpful
Mhm.
because we were able to vet things out. And Lisa, you know all the city rules and regulations far better than I do. And then that way, if we have that subcommittee meeting, we can make sure things are approved in proper time. And it takes time, of course, to have things approved by city council, et cetera. And if we have a subcommittee meeting, we can maybe have something ready to be approved by our board prior to the next meeting.
Was there a particular topic we need to ground the subcommittees with a topic focus? Otherwise,
Well,
it would need to be a full commission.
no, I think it would be the topic, it's the same topic we had last time, which would be the discussion of, we are seeing a continual decline in cable access fees.
Okay, so revisiting the plan that was created by the subcommittee and where we're at.
Yes,
Okay, yeah.
I think that's critical. And the reason I'm saying it is Melissa brought to me some research on both NPR and PBS showing a dramatic decline in their revenue. We're not there, but they clearly didn't plan. And if you fail to plan, you fail. So what I'm hoping is, even though we are having minor reductions, that we have a long-term strategic plan set in place so we don't have long-term problems.
And we're fortunate that that work has already been done. So it's a matter of going back to the plan to
Yes,
revisit. Is there one or two members who would like to participate on that subcommittee? I say that just so we don't hit a quorum. If anyone would like to, as Tom mentioned, attend virtually a subcommittee meeting between now and May.
and we can limit it. We can have everything written up prior to, and I'm happy to write things up. If I have enough lead time, that's not a problem. And we could limit the meeting to between 15 minutes to a half hour. But I think that moving forward for our board, it worked quite nice with the subcommittee in the past.
Would it be easier if I picked a some dates and times for folks to better identify if you're available and interested, and do it that way. Yes?
That'd be helpful.
Yes, okay. So we'll move this to I'll pick some dates and work with Tom, and then try to get 1 or 2 folks who would be able to attend a future subcommittee meeting and go from there.
I think that's perfect. And maybe what we do is, being that we had that past plan, Lisa, share that, and then I could come up with some other ideas to supplement that as well.
Okay,
And what I'd like to do, if it's okay with you, Lisa, and you, Greg, is review those thoughts with you prior to sending them out.
sure. 'Cause there was a lot of work that was done on that plan to begin with, that pretty much formalized. It went to city council on the steps that we would take. So it I think has a lot of meat on the bone already to consider.
Exactly.
Okay. So if we could move in the fiscal year 22-23 budget. So that we formalize the draft budget via the Cable Commission discussion in February. The city plans for a 2-year budget, but city council is only allowed to approve a budget 1 year at a time. So this budget would go into effect July 1st of this year. And we consider that to be the fiscal year 22 budget. But we also plan for the following year's budget, which would be considered fiscal year 23. So there's the overview of the budget that I emailed you in January. To note, our revenue has taken a percentage decline. We have been seeing cable fees declining 4 to 6% annually. So this budget reflects that, because we do not receive general fund dollars at all. We are contained within our own fund and fully funded via cable franchising fees from Comcast and AT&T. So what the budget reflects is the revenue that we are anticipating to receive, and then the expenditures are always balanced below that. For this coming fiscal year, as you know, we had our trainer who took another opportunity last year. So we have a significant cost savings from that trainer position being open right now. So there were not any major cuts within this coming budget that were needed that would significantly impact services in any way. Because we're not open, we are not planning on hiring that trainer position. If I had to guess, probably late summer, because that position is purely working with the public, and our facility does need to be open in order to maximize really the hiring of that person. I don't think they would have a full 40-week schedule working purely remotely. So that's where the cost savings is captured mostly in this year's budget. We do intend to hire that position, but I think it's best though to get to a point in time with the reopening that we feel very, very confident and comfortable that we're going to be reopening and not flipping back and forth. So we would need to get to the city reopening all its buildings, a majority, of vaccinations having taken place, and a different level in this pandemic than we are right now. Were there any questions on this year Like I said, so typically what I would try to do is I would outline any significant service reductions that needed to be made in order to live within our means. We don't have those, so we had tweaked the budget, like I said, with that cost savings from the position. And then we cut some of our equipment. But there isn't anything of note that we're not able to purchase or we're not going to be able to do this year. The following, yes,
I'm-
fine. Yes,
um, We're talking about 2022, correct?
correct.
And I see some of these numbers are quite significantly different. Is your premise that 2022 will be fully functioning? Are you taking into account at all that there might be limited use because of the pandemic? Or are you assuming that the studio will be open, there will be workshops, and equipment will be used in the studio?
So the way that we estimate the cable franchise fees is by prior year actuals. And so the pandemic is an anomaly,
No.
obviously, with cable franchise fees. I think you could play devil's advocate, you know, and there, of course, there are many, many, many people who cannot pay their cable bill and who are out of work and in need. But then on the other end, there's a lot of folks who are definitely, maybe their lifeline is watching cable, you know, and they're homebound. So to answer your question, we don't know for sure. What I can tell you is we monitor the budget monthly and our expenses. So I'm completely comfortable because of that open position that we'll be able to modify and adjust. Now, if there is a significant hit, and I don't, if something drastic happened with the Comcast and AT&T fees, we do have a fund balance, which is our savings account. That is our fund. Any money that we do not spend on an annual basis goes back into our savings account. So I need city council authorization to utilize those funds. But that is how we would be operating. There's several $1 million in that fund. So to help, and that obviously isn't a long-term solution, but just to help answer your question and how we might address during an anomaly like this, and then if there's an adjustment in the market, that's, you know, kind of some of the things that we would do.
That helps, thank you.
Okay. So the recommended fiscal year 2023, obviously that's quite far out. I would, by the time we are, that would be 2022, that we're actually solidifying that budget. And that is actually the budget then that I would have my actuals from the pandemic. So today is an estimate and a draft of prior year actuals and what we think is going to be our revenue. But by 2022, I would be able to have a better idea based on true actuals for that budget. So I present it to you today with, if nothing changes and everything happens like it has in the past, here's what we're looking at. I'm not 100% confident that that's going to be true though. So in January, February of 2022, though, we would be updating those numbers and refining them. But like I said, we always do a 2-year budget plan. And in our budget, that's not as important as in other budgets, as you can imagine, in engineering, public works, water. When you have huge capital projects and things of that nature, a 2-year budget is essential to that long-term planning. But for us, it really requires us to more fine tune year by year because of our revenue source. Does anyone have any questions on either of that? Essentially, what happens is procedurally, I review this budget with you. If there aren't any recommended changes or significant questions that you have, my budget rolls under the city administrator's budget because that's who I report to within our structure. The city administrator presents his budget on February 8th to City Council in a work session, along with community services and others. That gets into the draft book that is presented to council. And then in May, their second meeting in May is when they're required 7 affirmative votes to approve the budget. Yes, David?
Just have a question for Greg. I'm just curious, as far as the capital expenditure that was minimized, what, in terms in description, what type of equipment that you chose not to pursue this year, and if there's any accommodation to bring that back in the next in the future, in the next fiscal year.
Greg, I have the list you sent me too, so if you don't have it in front of me, just holler. Otherwise, you know better than I.
I don't have it in front of me, but typically we never spend the full amount that we get for the equipment budget unless we have a big purchase item come, like when we rebuilt the studio or we rebuilt the channel system, which don't come every year. So typically it's okay that it goes down from a little bit from year to year because we're not spending it all. And we can plan ahead as far as, so there really isn't anything that's been put off or canceled in a sense, but things are just, we're not going to get that right now. We'll delay a few months before we do that.
And to help answer your question, David, some of the projects that Greg had sent to me that were planned expenditures for the coming year, which could be part this year and also the next, was upgrade studio production system, upgrade staff editing workstations, upgrade studio and hotline lighting to LED, expand and upgrade offline media storage, and then every year we plan and replace aging equipment.
Awesome.
If that helps.
Absolutely. That was a question.
Thanks. Okay, back to you, Tom.
Do we have any other questions, comments, or anything else that we think is necessary to discuss at this time? Because we've gone through what I understand to be, and correct me, Lisa, if I'm incorrect, all our standard things that we go through. Am I correct?
Correct. We've covered the agenda. So now it would just be any staff or commission comments or any additions outside of what we've already discussed with the subcommittee. Or questions as to operating during a pandemic, or anything of that nature.
I don't have anything, Lisa.
And everyone obviously can always reach out to Greg, me, or Melissa in the meantime, you know, as you have questions. And we, of course, as we know more about reopening or modified plans, we'll of course keep you posted and our clients as well. Right now, those just aren't solidified and we're kind of working through it like the rest of the world.
I just want to thank everybody at CTN and the city and on our board for everything that's been done to keep CTN operational and thriving.
Thank you. I guess we could move for an adjournment if someone wanted to put that forward.
I move that we adjourn this meeting.
I second it.
Great. Thank you all. Please stay safe.
Thank you.
Yes.